international expert roundtable on the issue of human trafficking. Most of you, for many of you, it's not the first time, and many of you know what we do. I will go deeper into the matter later on, but I would like to say that we are very happy to be again in the House of the European Union, with the Austrian representation of the European Commission, and therefore it's my pleasure to give the floor to the representative of the European Commission, Mrs. Luggin. You are the, I would have to look it up, sorry. You are the head of the communication of the Austrian representation of the European Commission. Please, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Konrad. I'm Brigitte Luggin, and I'm leading the communication sector here. The representative of the European Commission, Mr. Wojan, excuses himself. He has, unfortunately, other appointments this morning. So it's my pleasure to welcome you here in the House of the European Union, also on behalf of the European Parliament office that is hosted in the same house here. It's a great pleasure for us to host this annual meeting now already, I think, for the third time. I would like, first of all, to thank Mrs. Konrad for facilitating and animating and coordinating this important platform that I think not only can make a substantial contribution to strengthen trafficking in human beings, but can also help to highlight and to raise awareness of this very important problem that many countries in the EU face, many police authorities and so on face, and it helps us also to highlight what the EU can do in this area through joint action. Human trafficking, as many other challenges the the member states face at the moment, but a particular tragic one knows no border, and therefore joint action among the authorities in the member states is of crucial importance. Human trafficking, you know it better because it's your daily work, affects the most vulnerable people in the EU and outside the EU. It affects children and women and many others who are exploited for mere economic purposes, enslaved. And the new technologies have made this problem even more acute, and that's the main topic of today's of your discussions and your exchanges today. The EU, the European Commission, has also thought of raising awareness about the action it has undertaken and the coordination measures, and it has launched in this area. We also are going to run from November onwards a public awareness campaign under the name EU Protects. You may, those who are Austrians, know that this is also a motto of the Austrian EU presidency. In the framework of this campaign, we will also highlight the joint action that is taken to fight human trafficking. And so it's, I think, also very important for us kick off here your expert meeting, and I hope we can then maybe liaise with you also to amplify and to make also the messages of this campaign more heard. So thanks again for being here with us today. Thank you, Mrs. Konrad, and I wish you a very fruitful discussion this morning and afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. And indeed, we are really, really happy to be here and to have this connects, of course, with the European Union. It's not, for us, it was always important to coordinate with others. And just to repeat for those who probably who may be here for the first time, I would like to say that you are the experts, so it's an expert meeting, and we draw on your expertise, but what we would like to do in a, let's say, perhaps slightly different way to others, is that we would like to discuss with one another and not just accept, that somebody tells us what they do and the next tells what they do, but we would like to find out, are there ways where we could do better, where we could do in a different way? There is, we know that human trafficking is a very complex issue, and so we also know that we have to understand what's going on, which especially in these times is necessary, because we have also huge changes, and therefore the topic of this year, it's not always the same, and it's not human trafficking in general, but for this year we would like to focus on human trafficking in the digital age, because we know there are changes. Many organizations, people have not yet started really confronting this challenge and this issue. So we would like to make a contribution to it, and what we wish to discuss this morning or the whole day is the interplay between new technology, trafficking, and anti-human trafficking. And we would specifically also like to focus on the ethical, political, and social challenges posed by online networks. And this year, we have a second part of this roundtable. We have a special session on psychological health impact of human trafficking. The issue of health was always important in the fight against human trafficking. And this year, we just took advantage of the fact that some of our colleagues, friends with whom we are working, started an EU project on this issue, and they are here today also, so there will be a second part on this special session on psychological health impact of human trafficking. We discuss it a little bit later. So welcome everybody again, and let me say that we have also partners. Yeah? We don't do it alone, we have partners, but we did not simply choose the partners like this. So there is a reason why, especially these partners cooperate with us, and therefore I would like to ask the representatives of our cooperation partners to come here to the podium. I would like to ask Peter von Bethlenfalvy for CEIPA, for the Center for European and International Policy Action in Brussels. Please come here and take the floor. I would like to ask Claudia Singer. She is the representative of the EU strategy for the Danube region from the Austrian administration, from the Vienna administration. We have here Shams Asadi. She is the representative, if I may say so, of the human rights part of Vienna. She is the head of the Office for Human Rights in Vienna, please. And we have Catrin Neumüller. She is the CEO of a private enterprise of Act.Now. And you can see, we have, for instance, we have the European level, we have the regional level, we have the local level, and we have the private level. So for good reasons, we invited these representatives to be part of what we do. So let me just for a moment introduce the representatives here, and of course you find all the information also at our website, this and more afterwards, but nevertheless I would like to to say a few words on the persons we have here. We have Peter von Bethlenfalvy. He's long time working on the issue of migration and anti-human trafficking in various positions. For many years he was also, he worked with IOM, and in IOM in Brussels anyway, but also in Rome and in Berlin and also in Austria. And now he is, with the words of the new technology, one would say he is an influencer, you know, although he has no own blog, you know, at the internet, but nevertheless I know that he influences or tries to influence European institutions and the European and the EU in general. And later on I would like to know from him in which ways, you know, a little bit where he sees the problem and where he sees ways to improve, not only now in the morning, but anyway, I would just encourage you all to come forward, you know, to ask, to give comments. This is the idea of this roundtable. It's not just that we or the people here from the podium just tell you something. No. Please, if you object or you have something else to do, please just let us know. We would like to discuss. This is the idea, so that we can really function as a sort of catalyst for further activities you do from wherever you are and from where you come. So this is Peter von Bethlenfalvy. Welcome. Thank you very much for taking part in this. Then we have Claudia Singer. I said she's from the EU strategy for the Danube region, from Vienna. Regional, we know from reports. Yeah? Also from the UN report, we know that human trafficking manifests itself very often in a region. You know, of course, we know it's a global problem, but very often, you know, the most of the problems, or most of the victims, or also the traffickers, very often they know one another. They are from the same region, so the regional part is very important. And last year we started something which was due to her engagement. Also, we said, well, the EU strategy for the Danube region normally deals with completely other things, with the so-called important things, you know. And then we thought, but sorry, anti-human trafficking is also an important issue. And we started doing something and looking at the local level. She will tell us more about that. So thank you very much and welcome. Well, then we have Shams Asadi. She's also not here for the first time, but she is the face, so to say, of human rights in Vienna. And Vienna is, of course, an important city, and it's important to focus the activities. So this is what she does, and on many initiatives, but also on many events, you know, we cooperate. So thank you very much for being here. And what is interesting with her, I would like to say, she has a background as in architecture and urban planning. And I like this particularly, you know, because it shows that anti-trafficking is not just one problem, one intervention or one issue. No, it's more, you know, it has of course to do how we can live in a city, you know, and how this works. She has experience on urban regeneration and urban development. I think this is fantastic, you know, this combination with anti-human trafficking, and thank you very much that you are here and you have time. And last but not least, as I said, we have Catrin Neumüller. She's the CEO, very often a CEO of Act.Now. We very often mention and say, well, we have to involve the business, you know, and the private business, and we know that this is is sometimes difficult because they normally have other goals, at least many of them. So we are specifically proud that Act.Now is cooperating with us. We contribute what we can to their activities and vice versa. And for today, I must also say, they are responsible for the live stream and for the technique and for all this. So thank you very much, because this costs also something, and they took it, you know, and provide assistance and also financial assistance in this regard. So Act.Now is an enterprise based on a private initiative and located in Vienna, acting international and above party lines. So what they do exactly will be said by Catrin. We are very pleased. Let me just mention for those, you know, who anyway are interested beyond human trafficking and internationally. It's one of the main, let's say, heads of this initiative is André Heller, yeah, an artist who is very well known internationally. So thank you very much to you all. And now let me just ask a little bit, you know, because maybe I start with the European level as we started this morning. Why is this interesting? You know, why are you interested in anti-human trafficking? Why are you interested in the digital age, in new technology? Is this an issue at the European level? Please, just a few words, because afterwards, anyway, during the day, you will intervene again, and when we at the end speak about the ways forward, I will ask you again what you think at the European level. What we should do. Please take the micro if you...
Thank you very much. Helga, you are really always ahead of the time, and you should know that Helga has asked me to make a speech, but not longer than 1.5 minutes, and this is probably why she introduced me in such a length. I didn't deserve it, but many thanks. And at this moment, I could just...
Because they should be able to listen to you in the whole world. And, you know, the live stream is out there.
I think that we are very privileged to be here in the House of the European Representations, and I think that this is the right subject, Helga, you raised. There are three. Let me just put it in the context also of the CEIPA. It's a think tank. It's a small, modest think tank. But the European Union, if I may reply to you immediately, actually is in any of its institutions, it's compelled to deal with these questions. There are three main sort of streams which are cross-border, if you like, international or global, of global relevance and of global nature. And this is migration, this is organized crime, and this is climate. And now I tell you something about the climate. The climate and the environment. The climate and the environment, and I make just a switch to trafficking, was completely different at the beginning, in the times beginning of 2000 and of 90s. If you take the look at the international conventions, which are very important, very focal for this subject, which Helga has raised, like the cybercrime, the so-called Budapest Convention, then the Brussels Declaration on Trafficking, which was the base for future legislations, the climate, the political climate was very different. And now we can see a rather worrying, rather, I would say, rather problematic development on the European and on the international level. And the European institutions, and especially the European Commission, you can see it, and partly the Parliament as well, and other agencies, European agencies, are having and feeling the same problem, that governments are getting back to their own views, to their own interests. It's not just United States represented by its president, but also it's a general wave. And you can see that even trafficking and cybercrime, which is again a problem on the international level and which has been tackled the first on the level of the Council of Europe, should be addressed. And the convention so far has been only adhered to and signed by 1/3 of the UN member states, and the Council of Europe was the origin of it. And even within the Council of Europe, Russia has never adhered to the so-called Budapest Convention. So you can see today is a trend where trafficking, where the work of the NGOs is sort of being, or is more or less being focused as not the most popular and most positive aspect of the work. So we have to, what I would like to say at this point, that I think that NGOs are facing a new reality, and especially when you come to the cybercrime, and here I finish, Helga, because I know you are looking at me already with patience, but you mentioned the 3 points. The NGOs are being squeezed between the private industry, between the interest of the governments and the international community, which is less willing to do things together. So your conference is very timely. And the last word, yes, we feel it on the level of the European Commission. There is less initiative in this field, less leadership, and less coherent international action. So this is what I would like to say, and then if later maybe I can elaborate on that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think that this is already a lot of food for discussion and for comments later on, so thank you very much. Let me now come to the regional level. So please, Claudia.
Yeah, I'm coming from the Danube strategy, so we are dealing with the macro-regional strategy of the Danube region, and in my position, I am, or me and my team, we are responsible to, or aiming at contributing to gaining institutional capacity for cities, municipalities, regions, and countries within the Danube region. And in this function, we need to make sure that public authorities gain the capacities to tackle major challenges through know-how, better coordination, and better cooperation. And migration is undoubtedly one of the major challenges we face today, and with this also an increased risk of trafficking in human beings and exploitation. And with this was also the reason why we started to take a closer look at this issue, because first of all, in the Danube region, we have both countries of origin and countries of destination of victims of trafficking in human beings. And at the same time, we're dealing a lot with cities and regions where the issue of trafficking in human beings and exploitation is actually focusing and concentrating. So we think that it is very vital to make sure that cities, municipalities, regions, and countries in the Danube region both have the capacities to tackle the challenge and to have better cooperation, because they can also not only because they can approach this issue from different angles, and I think this also is a great opportunity to have a more comprehensive approach to tackle this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you very much for the moment. And of course, you know, the EU, the Danube region is just close to where we are now. So this is important and has always been in the fight against human trafficking. I remember myself, you know, when we started with the EU Stability Pact for Southeastern Europe, you know, I mean, it was clear, you know, the problem was there. Then it was strange, you know, after certain years, when it came closer to the European Union, also the Danube region realized that the interest of the European Union in this issue is just, you know, a bit artificial, you know. I'm not not going so deep, you know, how it should. So this was the beginning, but since then, things have changed, but nevertheless, the problems are still there. And during the day, maybe we can focus a bit more also on this. So we come to the local level. What would you say? Is this important for the local level, or you know, there is also we know there is a tendency to shift the problems of human trafficking and others too from one organization to the other. You know, sort of ping pong. You know, between organizations and initiatives. How would you say do the things work or should work and can work in Vienna as the city of human rights?
In the chain of the cooperation or collaboration in just a vertical chain, we have global level, we have European level, we have regional level, but the main work is done by the local level, because local level is the level that the most support for the victims or just for trafficked person are provided by local levels. And if I see my colleague, many years, he worked in just, I don't know, protection of children. It is really a level that the work is going to done there, and then there is no consciousness. Implementation of the whole guidelines and global guidelines, we have a lot of good guidelines, we have a lot of good papers, but if it doesn't come to the local level, you mentioned nothing is going to be done really. And then, of course, national level is very important, and I think in Austria it functions very well. But still, local level is the level that really they are involved with the victims and with trafficked people, and they have to just, it is a humanity duty to support the victims. We were in a lucky position because in 2015, the Greta report was published for Austria in September 2015, and it was at the same time our Office of Human Rights, it was established. So it was a really coincidence, and the City Council, they gave us the political act in order to look at the Greta report and just to implement the this report. And then what we have done, we started with a focus group, and then we have invited the just regional level, national level, and again NGOs. I see for men, for women, and of course for children, and we try to find solutions. We are going to have the roundtable for child trafficking in November, because we have to look at to this point from the point of view of the right of the child and of course human rights. So again, we have to look at to where our blind points they are and just tackle over there and take the subject and really to go to the implementation. And of course, one point is here very important, because in all of the reports that we have about underreporting of human trafficking, one important point is the lack of trust to the institutions. And then local level is a level that we have to repair this lack and just to try to just enjoy the trust for the future. So it is also just going out and working with the victims, just again to our structures and of course with NGOs. And it's a point that I guess it's very important from the work of strategy, from Danube strategy also, to just reach the hand out for the local level in the different countries. And what we do, we have a with Act.Now, a working group that I'm very happy that we have you over here, and just to reaching out to the different countries and different cities that they are not still. So it's like some kind of exchange of experiences. Mm-hmm. And digital ages makes it more difficult. Just it is a fact that we have to just tackle also this fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. We will hopefully learn more today about this issue. So thank you very much. Let me just mention that we have, by the way, in Austria, just for your information, we have a new coordinator on human trafficking. We have a representative of the foreign ministry here, because human trafficking in Austria is linked to the foreign ministry. She was invited, but she can't. You know, she has another issue. She was just recently appointed, but next time we will certainly have her here. And anyway, there is in October, around this EU Anti-Trafficking Day, we have also the Austrian conference. She will be there. Many of us will be there, and we certainly will further cooperate on this. Thank you very much. So let me come to Catrin. Maybe you can tell a bit why, Act.Now is interested in these issues. They are very complex, and what you think your contribution could be, except that, thank you very much again, that you support our technician and you provide also for the live stream and for the hashtag we have on this roundtable. Please.
Thank you very much, Helga. I think that the topic of digitalization affects all aspects of our lives. I think you say it makes everything more complicated. Some things are made easier too. I think a main topic is communication, and communication has many aspects. One is participation and community building, which is made much easier by digitalization. But of course there are negative aspects, and there is like the filter bubbles and other things. Another aspect I think that is very important is it's not only community building, it's also individualization, soulness, loneliness and isolation beyond the digital world that is happening. And for us, we are a very young organization, only founded in 2016. On the occasion of refugees and migrants coming to Europe and trying to bring together the municipal level with the NGOs and the people concerned. And we have since developed a focus on social cohesion and children and youth. So for us, this topic is very important because, of course, children and youth and also people on the fringe of society are those who are very vulnerable when it comes to being contacted in a digital way by, for example, human traffickers, and of being abused. So in many aspects, this is for us a very important topic. As Shams has said already, we have also ongoing working groups on exploitation, education, children's rights, gender and trauma. So in all of these fields, digitalization and the digital age is important, I think. So, and thank you, Helga, for taking us aboard. We are very happy to be a cooperation partner on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are also very, very pleased to have you on board. So let's move on. We are, of course, a little bit late already, like always. This is just one of our. It's always a bit like this. But again, for us, it's important to give time also to say what experts, people, researchers, whatever, wish and have to say.